And we are live.
All right. Well, hello, students. I'm Dr. Mansuria, a neurosurgeon at the Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine.
Hello as well. My name is Dr. Naik, a cardiothoracic surgeon at the Johns Hopkins University School of Medicine. Today we'll be lecturing on cancer, what it is, how it develops, and why, unfortunately, we don't have the perfect treatment for it yet.
As usual, we've opened up our discussion to all our viewers across the globe, and we're going to ask that if they won't have any questions, they can comment those on our live stream.
If your question is selected to be answered, we will invite you to this video conference so you can ask us in person.
So think hard about those questions.
And in case your question isn't selected this time around, there's always next week when we'll be talking about signal transduction pathways. Today we have chosen Mr. Gopal to start off our discussion with an opener question.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to start off your discussion about cancer. This is an absolute honor. Since I am not sure about the medical backgrounds of all of your viewers, and as a med student myself, I am not an expert on the topic, I thought it would be very beneficial if you could start off by giving all of us background information on cancer.
Thank you, Mr. Gopal. Allow me to delve into a discussion on some background information about cancer. So what exactly is cancer? Well, in its most basic form, cancer is simply a name for disorders where cells start to divide and grow out of control. And in addition, unlike normal cells, cancer cells can spread and invade other tissues.
The body is made up of trillions of living cells. Normal body cells grow, divide to make new cells, and then die in an orderly way. During the early years of a person's life, normal cells are dividing faster because the person is growing. But after the person becomes an adult, most cells divide only to replace worn out or to replace dying cells.
And cancer starts when cells in the body start to grow out of control. And cancer cell growth is different from normal cell growth because instead of dying, the cancer cells continue to grow and form new cells uncontrolled. And these new cells are also cancerous, and as a result, the mass of cells forms what are called solid tumors, which are just masses of tissue. But the key is that in cancers of the blood, there is no solid tumor.
Cancer cells can actually invade and grow into other tissues, something that normal cells can't do. Growing out of control and invading other tissues are what makes a cell a cancer cell. Cancerous tumors are malignant, which means they can spread into or invade nearby tissues. Cancer cells can break off and travel to distant places throughout the body through the blood or the lymph system and form new tumors far from the original tumor.
And unlike malignant tumors, benign tumors do not spread or invade nearby tissues. They lack the ability to metastasize, basically spread away from the original location. Benign tumors, however, can also grow quite large, and when they're removed, they normally don't grow back, whereas malignant tumors have a greater chance of reappearing in the future. And also, unlike benign tumors elsewhere in the body, tumors in the brain can be life-threatening.
Time for the next question. Please welcome Ms. Trivedi to ask her question.
Thanks for letting me ask a question. I'm very excited to have this opportunity. My question is, how are cancer cells different from normal cells in the way that they form into cancer?
I'll answer your question. So cancer cells differ from normal cells in the main way that they grow out of control and become an invasive species. One of the most important differences is that cancer cells do not have a specialization. That means that they don't really have a purpose besides just continuously grow and divide. Normal cells have a function. You know, your skin cells are designed to protect you. Your nerve cells are used for sending electrical signals between your brain and your body. But cancer cells don't have any of these functions, and they just basically grow without stopping. And when diagnosing a cancer, something called a biopsy is performed where they take out some cells from your body. And these cells are studied for their cell characteristics. And there's 5 key characteristics that scientists focus on when diagnosing cancer. The first is the size of the nucleus and the nuclear border. Cancer cells have a larger nucleus, and they have an irregular shaped nuclear border than normal cells. The nucleus is also going to have a darker stain in cancer cells than in normal cells because the cells are stained so that they can be seen through a microscope. Next, the cancer cells also form in clumps within a regular cell shape. This is due to a different composition of the cell membrane than normal cells, and as a result, instead of a more circular shape, you're seeing sort of an amoeba shape. And finally, there are larger chromatin clumps and a larger nucleolus in a cancer cell than in a normal cell. And these are the key differences that scientists use to help diagnose cancer in potential patients.
In addition, cancer cells are able to ignore signals and checkpoints that normally tell cells to stop dividing or that begin a process known as programmed cell death, which is also known as apoptosis, where the body uses this to get rid of unneeded cells. These control signals are governed by the p53 gene, one of the most important proto-oncogenes that is used to regulate cell growth.
And cancer cells also have the ability to influence normal cells that are surrounding the cancer in order to provide a way to feed the tumor. So, for instance, the cancer cells can induce the nearby cells to form blood vessels that will supply the tumor and the cancer cells with oxygen and the nutrients that are necessary for their growth. And these blood vessels are also useful for the cancer cells because they remove any waste product from the cell.
Cancer cells are also often able to evade the immune system, a network of organs, tissues, and specialized cells that protect the body from infections or any other condition. Although it normally removes damaged or abnormal cells from the body, some cancer cells are able to hide and sort of evade the immune system.
And tumors can also use the immune system to sort of stay alive and grow. First of all, cancer cells are considered, normal cells by the body because they are the body's cells. But with all the cancer cells are also able to prevent the immune system by using the identifiers on the cell membrane to keep the immune system from killing the cancer cells.
And the genetic changes that contribute to cancer tend to affect three main types of genes: proto-oncogenes, tumor suppressor genes, and DNA repair genes. These changes are sometimes called the drivers of cancer.
For example, the proto-oncogenes are involved in normal cell growth and division. However, when these genes are altered due to a mutation or they become more active than normal, they may become a cancer-causing gene, also known as an oncogene. And in this situation, they'll allow cells to forego apoptosis and survive when they really shouldn't be surviving.
And the second one is the tumor suppressor genes that are also involved in controlling cell growth and cell division. Cells with certain alterations in tumor suppressor genes may divide in sort of an uncontrolled manner.
And finally, DNA repair genes are involved in fixing damaged DNA. But cells that have a mutation in these genes will tend to develop additional mutations in other genes as the DNA repair genes attempt to repair DNA. And combined, these mutations can eventually lead to a cell becoming cancerous and starting to divide without control.
And as scientists have learned more about molecular changes that lead to cancer, they've found that certain mutations commonly occur in many types of cancer. Because of this, cancers are sometimes characterized by the types of genetic alterations that are believed to be driving them, not just by where they develop in the body and how the cancer cells look under a microscope. So it's a little bit more than that.
Thank you.
And finally, we'll now move on to our third and final person who will be asking a question. Please welcome Maharish Yaditha.
Wow, I can't believe I have this opportunity. Thank you so much for choosing my question. My question is regarding cancer treatments. So far, you've told us a lot about the disease itself, and I know you mentioned earlier that there is no definitive cure for cancer. But I do know that there are certain treatments that one can undergo to prolong or perhaps lessen the effects. Can you tell us a little about the current research or treatments?
Sure. So first, let's talk about the most common form, surgery. Surgery is used to treat cancer through a procedure where the surgeon will be removing cancer from your body. If you don't know, a surgeon is a doctor who has a specialty in being able to operate on the body.
And depending on the type of cancer and how advanced it is, surgery can be used to, one, remove the entire tumor. This would mean that the surgeon removes the cancer that is contained in like one specific area, or two, debulk a tumor, where the surgery removes some but not all of the cancerous tumor. Debulking is normally used when removing an entire tumor might damage an organ or body, so the cancer is like pretty advanced, and removing part of a tumor can help the other treatments work better. And the third is to ease cancer systems, where surgery is used to remove tumors that are causing pain or some sort of pressure.
All right, and then another form of treatment that's pretty common is radiation therapy. It's a therapy and a treatment where the doctors use high doses of radiation to kill cancer cells and reduce the size of the tumor. Now, at low doses, radiation is used in X-rays to see inside your body if you're getting like a scan of your teeth or if you have a broken bone. But as Rahul mentioned,
at high doses, radiation kills cancer cells or slows their growth, so this is good. Radiation therapy is used to either one, treat cancer, or two, ease the cancer systems. If we're trying to treat cancer, radiation can be used to pretty much cure it and to prevent it from returning, or to stop completely or significantly slow down its growth. The second thing is to ease the symptoms, where radiation may be used to shrink the tumor to treat pain and other problems caused by the tumor, or it can lessen problems that may be caused by the tumor which is growing, such as if it's giving you trouble breathing, or if there's loss of bowel or bladder control.
now the thing to realize is that radiation therapy doesn't really kill the cancer cells right away. What you're doing is you're exposing the DNA to radiation, and you're hoping that you eventually cause enough damage to the DNA that it can no longer replicate. But this does take some time. It takes somewhere between days and weeks before the cells actually start to die. But once the cells start to die, this therapy continues and through this process until at some point doctors can find no more traces of cancer.
And lastly, there's chemotherapy. You might have heard it. Sometimes it's referred to as chemo. It's a type of cancer treatment that uses drugs to kill cancer cells. Chemotherapy works by stopping or slowing the growth of cancer cells, which grow and which are growing and dividing quickly. So chemotherapy is used to treat cancer, which Kush will get into.
Right. So what chemotherapy does is that these drugs are targeting cells that have cancer, and basically by attacking these cells, you're able to destroy them and prevent their growth. The other use for chemotherapy is when combined with other treatments, you're able to ease the symptoms of cancer, especially if it's a late stage development. So what the chemotherapy you use for is to shrink the size of a tumor that may be applying pressure to another part of the body and causing discomfort and other issues. But right now, it looks like this is all the time we have for today. I want to thank all the viewers who came out and asked questions, especially Mr. Gopal, Mr. Yaditha, and Ms. Trivedi. And finally, we hope that you learned a lot about how even though cancer cells are very small, they can have a big impact on our lives, and what we have to do to be able to lessen the impacts, because they are pretty, not welcoming. And we hope you did learn a lot more about cancer.
Yeah, I as well want to thank our viewers for being there, monitoring this broadcast. It seemed that at our peak we had about like 15,000 viewers, so that's a lot. That's a lot of people that are interested in cancer. But yeah, so thanks to people that were chosen to answer these questions. And Dr. Mansuria and I have to go perform surgery now, but this has been great. Stay tuned for future question and answer sessions that we will periodically be having every week. So thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye.